NATO is training Armenians to fight against their longtime Russian allies. That's a damning verdict from Moscow in response to Yerevan hosting drills involving troops from several Western states, including the US.
Whatever the declared peacekeeping objectives of the exercises, NATO's primary goal is obvious. The most surprising thing is that NATO is not hiding it. In other words, Armenian troops will be trained to fight against Russia. These exercises will certainly not bring any benefit to stabilizing the South Caucasus, but will instead create new geopolitical dividing lines and threats.
The Eagle Partner 2026 exercises kicked off this week and will run until June 25th. Dozens of American troops are joined by a smaller number from France and Greece. It's the first time Armenia is hosting such four-way drills. The stated goal is training for international peacekeeping efforts. Russia has maintained a military base inside Armenia since Soviet times. 2 years ago, Armenia froze its membership in the Russian-led CSTO Collective Security Organization, although it has not formally withdrawn. Moscow has repeatedly said Yerevan cannot take part in two opposing military blocs, especially considering that NATO is fighting a proxy war against Russia. Armenia's former defense minister says it's time for the country to choose sides.
As for the exercises, what are they for? To train troops and prepare them for certain missions. Now let's look at it. From a military standpoint, Armenia gains nothing. Well, 200 of our peacekeepers are participating, 24 or something Americans have arrived, 10 Greeks and a few French. Everything has already been said. What are they training for there? A peacekeeping operation. For what purpose? That's also unclear. You know, I witnessed several NATO exercises in Armenia in recent years, and I can draw a clear conclusion. These military exercises are not for military purposes. They are political. So it turns out that Armenia gains nothing militarily, but politically Armenia has suffered damage, significant political damage on an international level. I mean, we essentially have problems today with Russia as a strategic ally. The CSTO aside, we have a bilateral strategic agreement on mutual military assistance. And then what kind of peacekeeping operations are there in the modern world? Show me where they are. Show me there are wars everywhere. Where is the peacekeeping operation? Will they do it in Iran? Why are they preparing? For what? I said it was most likely political sycophancy again, international sycophancy. There's nothing else. And I want to say again that I attended several events, conferences and so on regarding security in the Black Sea region. I don't remember the names exactly now. I was at several of these events. The guys got together, talked, and then dispersed. It was nothing special. Last year the Americans came there and conducted a live fire exercise. They fired their machine guns and some other weapons. And you know, with mine detectors, they found all those shell casings of theirs at the training ground, every single one. Most likely so that they couldn't later identify the weapons and so on. They fired, packed up and left. That is, they came to us in our conditions, prepared for combat, and left. You know, there are dances where partners change, and it's like dancing with several partners. Well, in my opinion, those days are long gone. Armenia needs to understand where it needs to be. Armenia must understand what security package is acceptable to it. We were sitting together at the Air Defense Command Post, at least while I was there. Officers of the Russian army were sitting there along with officers of the Armenian army. Moreover, during the 44-day war in 2020, it was Russia that acted as a deterrent, preventing Azerbaijan from advancing into Armenian territory. Why didn't they go further? Because the 102nd Russian base was deployed. Well, I'll tell you this, the Greeks are NATO members, and that's why I said I think there are 10 Greeks there. Well, most likely they're there just to maintain their status in that organization. I've spoken with Greece's military leadership many times, visited Greece when I was the head of intelligence, military intelligence for Armenia, had meeting there and so on. It's impossible to say that the Greeks have many questions for the Turks. There have been constant clashes between the Greeks, especially between Greek and Turkish aircraft in the maritime areas around Greece. We also know that there are disputed territories and islands there. We also know that there's the Cyprus issue. Therefore, the Greeks have historically understood that they have a real adversary in this NATO system, Turkey.